Welcome to my July tour. It's growing fast at the moment, and especially for me, I've got a bit behind because I've been away for 5 days at the cusp of June and July. Crazy time to go, but it was so worthwhile to America. And I met while there this beautiful woman, Jessica Sowards, who you could check out. She runs an amazing YouTube channel called Roots and Refuge. She's in South Carolina, and yeah, I met so many of my lovely American followers there. It was quite an eye-opener actually. I'm looking to be back in the US at some point soon. Meanwhile, back at home, because there's so much happening right now and has happened the last time since we did a tour actually. Like here, you can see the fantastic growth of this, all second planting. So parsnips after salad onions, beetroot after turnips, squash after spinach, and they had fleece over because we've had so much cold weather, particularly in June. We had cold nights. One night there was ice on my car when I woke up and I was horrified. Fortunately, it didn't kill any of these plants, but they got knocked back by it. And we'll see in a minute, like in the polytunnel, the tomatoes, cucumbers, not as strong as they should be. If you want to see any of this in person, you can certainly do that. We do run courses here, and there's some coming up now and through August. Right up to October. Check out the courses page on my website. In fact, we've got a new course this year, which is relevant to what you're seeing in this video, and it's called Energy Gardening. Energy, what does that mean? Well, come and find out. But I'm always bowled over by, the strong growth we get here. Like here, these potato plants actually might look a bit worn out, and that's just because they're 3 months old, and everything you're seeing here is not late blight, it's old age. And senescence is another word for of leaves. So don't worry if your potatoes are looking like this. It's blight. If you've got blight, it would be a rapid wipeout of leaves, and the stems go black as well. The stems here are still green, so I'm not worried from that point of view. We're going to harvest these probably tomorrow morning actually. But what's interesting here is this is the 10th year of growing potatoes in the same soil. It's a trial just to see, and all I can say is so far I'm not noticing any problem from that. It's home safe seed as well, but what's interesting here is that there's 3 different strips here, so 3 different beds, different compost there, and this one has compost from the compost toilet. 2 years old, put on in December, and the potatoes look particularly strong. It happened last year actually, where the parsnips also look particularly strong. They had the compost toilet compost a year ago, and it looks like the effect is kind of lingering a bit. So, it's a great resource. Check it out. You can do it. Any source of compost and fertility for me is worth exploring. I've put out quite a few videos about this, how to make your own compost. In fact, I've got a new book coming out in September about it as well. And here I wanted to show you support, because there aren't many vegetables that grow tall, but if they do, it really pays to have just very simple. We banged in some tree stakes, bit of string around to keep that's onions for seed. They make beautiful white flowers, that's a bonus. This is Jerusalem artichokes, so that's the root artichokes. We're going to see some globe ones in a minute, so it's a misleading word a bit. These shouldn't be called artichoke, I don't think, but there's fantastic root harvest in winter. And then another root harvest here, which is the vegetables, and these were second planting as well, so they went in between garlic. And we harvested the garlic 3-4 weeks ago, actually a month ago. We'll see in a minute also how we store the garlic. And only 4 weeks ago the garlic harvest, you've already got a beetroot harvest in that short period of time. Interplanting, overlapping, it's such a good way to get more. Whereas something like these perennial asparagus, this is year 12 now for them, and I stopped picking them on the solstice, so that's around 20 days ago. And look how much they've grown in 20 days. It's just incredible. I kind of love this time of year, but I also feel somewhat daunted because you have to almost run to keep up. And up there is some chard for seeds. There's quite a few seed crops coming, more obvious now. They've been there a while and you don't notice them at first, and then when they do their final fling, they're going long stem, again needing support. That'll be a lot of seed because you need quite a few plants to get the cross-pollination. Same with onions, beetroot, carrots, parsnips if you do them. There's just peas, lettuce, French bean and tomato you can do 1 plant only. So they're the easiest crops to save seed from. You can still do that if you stop picking some peas or French beans, tomatoes, keep some for seed. Here we've had a bit of an unforeseen issue. The raspberry bed is kind of almost non-existent growth this end, where we did a little trial. Adam's brilliant on mushrooms and giant sarcophagus. Oh no, I've got that the wrong way. Stropharia. Oh God, sarcophagus. So these are big red mushrooms, and we've had some harvest, but not as good as we hoped. There are a lot of slugs. Books don't talk about this, but look at the wonderful mycelia there in the ash. This is 8-month-old ash chippings, and Adam soaked them basically in water for 24 hours. That takes out any existing fungi, and through anaerobic, and then just spread that there with the spores in there, and it's working, but it's not working. Slugs. I mean, this spring has not been easy, and yet, you know, it's been a challenge. In a way, you could say all challenges are good. We find out how we can adapt. There's been more than usual though. Lack of light has been a big one. You can see in the sky actually quite a few. For me, those are man-made clouds. I'm not happy about it. I'll look at that in the Energy Gardening Day. But here, this is a joy. So this really illuminates the garden when there's less light coming down. And these wildflowers are 2 years old now. A lot of these are perennials, like you've got yarrow of different kinds, knapweed, geraniums, and a beautiful one here called Great Burnett. You know, they all have a moment when they just are particularly stunning, and that won't last for long. And up the other end there's some daylilies. This is the pond that's not a pond, it's now a wet dry feature. It's a little bit wet because we've actually had 3 inches 75 millimeters of rain in the last week, and this is one of the first sunny days, but the temperature today is no more than 20 degrees 68 Fahrenheit, below normal despite the sunshine, well, weak sunshine. Garlic. So when you've got your garlic more or less dry, we leave it here for maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and then put it on these wires, and you just drop the stem of the garlic onto the wire and they all cluster there at the bottom, and it's a great way to store. This was Adam came up with this a year ago, and look at the result there. So then I'm going to bring those into the house because garlic keep best in dry, warm conditions, much better than in a shed or something. Garlic, onions, and winter squash are the 3 vegetables to store like that. And look at this. Will we get some winter squash? Maybe a month ago I would have said no. They struggle so much. They went in on the 17th of May. That's 8 weeks ago. Did nothing for the first 5 weeks. 7 of them got eaten by slugs. There's actually only 33 plants there now, and they're growing through black plastic, which is on top of weeds basically. It was like wild pasture before starting out. That was in February, and the plastic has helped to warm the soil, I would say. This year it's been a bonus from that point of view. Although I've got other squashes that are doing okay, these are probably the best. There were loads of sweet corn there as well. Well, not sweet corn actually, it's for dry corn, Painted Mountain. But most of them got eaten by slugs, so at least we've got a few. We'll see what happens. The rain and the cold has also caused a disease I really do not like, which is onion downy mildew, and it's this brown you get on the leaves like that, a brown grey mould. If you see that, at first you don't notice it because it's just dark, and then it slowly turns the leaves yellow. Basically stops them growing. So I push down the necks, and the reason for that is I found that makes them store better, because if you can get a dry neck rather than a big fat one that stays rather green, they will keep better. And whether you pull them or not, if these were green and didn't have the mildew, I wouldn't do this, but I'm thinking to pull these within a week anyway. So onion harvest is coming up. One like that is not going to make an onion, so we'll use that soon. And some of these are going to make nice bulbs. This is Red Baron, which is a good standard red variety. So I've got a few different varieties, and it's always nice to have that, to have a range of options. Like here with potatoes, same. Second early potatoes in the front, and this is a variety called Jazzy, which I've grown before and I like it. It's very smooth skin. These are just 2 little ones, but they quite a few medium size. It's salad potato, and you can see how the leaves are going yellow. That's another, that's a sign they're ready to harvest, second earlies. Whereas main crop, that's a Setanta, they're certainly ready to grow some more. And we've put extra compost around them, and that is kind of like earthing up, no dig way. You could pull a bit of compost around, but if you've got about a shovelful on the top of each plant. You know, just drop it over if it's not too wet, the compost. And then after harvest, you get quite an uneven surface. So that's where I use a rake. I don't use a rake a lot, but it's just brilliant for leveling. I've done it already, but I'm just showing you how we do it. Knock out any lumps, and then the ground is ready. I'll even tread on it actually, like that, because I want to make it firm. Firm is not the same as compact. Firm will hold the moisture, and then you can plant leeks, for example, like there. So that's leeks that were sown in April, potted on into 7cm pots. They started in my module trays. Pretty much everything here starts in my module trays, and then goes in the ground like that. But leeks are longer because we're waiting for the potatoes to finish, so we pot them on. Brassicas likewise, so you can see how small these plants in. These went in from little module trays, not pots, and they went in just 6 days ago. And pretty systematically I'll cover small plants like that because there are rabbits here, and a little seedling like that can disappear very quickly. That's the problem with carrots, you know, sowing them direct, they disappear. But within a month, so that's a month difference in growth. These went in on the 10th of June. And then they had that cover over. It was literally the same one. Just take it off, put it on there, and you can see they're looking particularly clean actually. I will spray with Bacillus thuringiensis against caterpillars if we see any butterflies. I don't know if you noticed, but over the wildflowers and the pond, no insects. Where are they? There's no butterflies here. It's like, what's going on? So yeah. I don't know what to say actually. It's just so, God, is my microphone? No, it's the flowers. Here's something else you can do if you have too many broad beans. So we stopped picking. We had such an abundance this year. It's been a fantastic year for them with all the spring rain. Stop picking them and let the pods go black on the plant, rather like you do for peas. Harvest them when the pods are dry, and you'll get dry seed that you can use probably for 2 or 3 years to come. They keep really well, home safe seed. Yeah, I just want to mention the covers actually and supports, because these wires are from my crocus range. On the crocus website you'll find these 4mm high tensile wires, but there is an example of not using the wires, and you can do that sometimes, just the cover directly on plants. And this is beetroot. These went in just 5 days ago. Up there they went in 2 weeks and 5 days ago, so it's just 2 weeks difference between them. And all transplants, I find, they hesitate at first. You know, that can be a nerve-wracking time. It's called transplant shock. And if you can just get your plants through that. So strong plants grown in good compost in module trays, for example, and then no dig soil, the conditions are good, that helps them to get going more quickly. Pests is always the big thing. So here I'm protecting against allium leaf miner. That's a new pest for me. It didn't happen until last year really. On leeks we lost a lot. So I'm securing it quite tightly with this mesh. So this is normal insect mesh, perma mesh or veggie mesh, against the allium leaf miner fly. Here we were up here talking of insects earlier on, and there was a fantastic swarm of bees. That's fantastic if you like bees. I wasn't trying to catch it or anything, but it was just amazing to see. And they hung around here a long time, and I thought they were going to make a hive or a nest in one of those forcing pots. But they actually didn't. They've now flown away, so they've gone somewhere else. But there's a nice saying linked to that. It's, you know, this is 10th of July, and my father always used to say, a swarm of bees in May is worth a load of hay, which in those days, that was a lot of money. A swarm of bees in June is worth a silver spoon, and a swarm of bees in July isn't worth a fly. So, hey, didn't lose too much there. These not Jerusalem Globe artichokes, so that you can see they're the more classic artichoke, and these were from seed this year. So I sowed them in February in the module trays, transplanted. We did pot them on, transplanted towards the end of April, and they sat here looking like nothing really for about 2 months, it felt like, and then suddenly started to grow once we get a bit of warmth. So we got a harvest there from seed just a few months ago. And the asparagus also from seed. That block in the middle is called Ariane, and I sowed it February 22, so 2.5 years ago. Planted it exactly 2 years ago, and it's looking so strong. Even compared to the asparagus this end, which was planted from crowns in April 2021. So, you know, crown 1 year older, that's effectively 2 years older. I would say not that much stronger, but all of this bed, apart from the very end, I'm looking to harvest next year. And, you know, we could have quite a bit of asparagus by then, I hope. We've been hedging as well, because that's another job for the midsummer. You know, so much growth, new growth has happened, and I had a bit of extra help to do that. Scything and using an electric hedge trimmer, steel electric hedge trimmer, brilliant. It can reach up, it's got extendable arms, so we've been trimming the elders, leaving some of the berries there, but cutting the nettles back more than anything, and the brambles. And then Adam took them over the other side, and he's made a neat pile, and every so often he runs over that with a mower, and that gives a nice bit of brown and green for the compost heap. Yes, fantastic source of material for a compost heap. And getting into making compost is such a central part of gardening, I feel, and it turns sort of routine maintenance jobs like that into something that feels really worthwhile. These melons, this is amazing. I mean, I'm impressed they've grown as much as they've grown considering the temperatures, but they're nothing like as strong as last year. We had 3 or 4 on each plant. I find that melons self-prune in terms of fruit they actually grow, so don't worry if you've only got 1 or 2. It's basically because it's not warm enough. If it was really warm, these same plants would have 3 or 4, and they're not going to make, there's not time for them now to make more new melons, so I'll just go with that. I keep pruning the leaves. Tomatoes also, you know, the top of the plants where they've grown in warmer weather, I've just seen a side shoot there that I missed. In fact, we haven't been in here quite as much because the growth has been so slow, and it's not feeling good. That Sungold, if it warmed up, they could come into cropping big time. Whereas these are doing it already. This is a really great variety that's proved its worth this year. It's called Sakura, S-A-K-U-R-A. It's F1 hybrid, and boy, is that worthwhile. So it's a kind of cherry tomato, but quite big, and actually the flavour is really nice. It makes a great salad. We've been enjoying that. But the tomatoes are also suffering from leaf roll, and like that plant over there demonstrates it really neatly. It's not a disease, it's not something you've done, it's not a lack of water either. It's the difference between day-night temperature, I'm pretty sure, because you'll see in a minute the same tomatoes in the greenhouse where it's warmer by night particularly do not have it, and the plants outside actually often don't. Here we got hot by day and cold by night. Cucumbers, well, yeah, they've got a bit the same issue as the tomatoes, but I had my first big pick this morning, 20 cucumbers from 30 plants. Normally that would happen sort of 3rd week of June. But at least it is going now. For a time, I thought these plants might not pull through. They look so poor. But the bit of warmth has done it for them. And out here, you can see also, you know, like this is interesting, Sweet Williams. They would normally be finished and gone by now. So, you know, that's been one advantage of the cool weather, actually. The early summer flowers have lasted for much longer. And some of the early summer vegetables too. So like peas, in July, here, normally we do not see them, but those, Hurst Greenshaft, it's a beautiful podding pea. And again, I've got a few of those I've left unpicked, which will be for seed, because, you know, that's such an easy one to do. Pea, you need only 1 plant to keep seed from. Look at the melons in here. Look at the contrast with the polytunnel. So these were sown at the same time. Planted 2 weeks earlier because it was warmer. Back in late April these went in, and the tunnel they went in early May. So I'm waiting for enough warmth so that they can grow, and that's Malaga in the foreground and Emir at the back, and they were sown 2 days before full moon. That's a good way of getting more energy into your plants. Tomatoes, they were sown a bit earlier. They were sown middle of March, and on the right the aubergines were sown early March. And I have picked 2 aubergines, but again, God, they're so slow. It's just warmth. You know, if you're worried about your aubergines, peppers, chilies, for example, it's not something you've done. If you're in the UK, this is particularly Northwest Europe, actually a lot of Northwest Europe. Time for raising transplants. So here we've got broccoli. It's a bit late for sowing these now, but you can certainly still transplant them. Things you can sow now is things like chicory for radicchio, lettuce still, endive, fennel, kohlrabi. Do check out my July jobs video, which came out about 2 weeks ago. and that's got a lot of detail about those kinds of things, what you can sow and what you can plant. So like here we just cleared a bed of peas for shoots. You can see how actually Adam was brilliant. He ran the lawnmower over it. So that's chopped by the mower blade. And if I just remove, I'm not going to remove these, but I'm just going to pull it out just to show you. You know, this is what we don't do normally. I want to leave all these roots in. You can actually see the nitrogen nodules there. There's more than I expected because the leaves were still green. These little blobs. There's some there, for example. That's nitrogen in there. And so they're all there, and they will slowly rot down, and they provide goodness, and also they're food for microbes. So it's all healthy, leaving the soil undisturbed like this with the roots in between your harvest, which is happening a lot at this time of year. Here's a root or tuber, in fact, which always stays in. God, I'm so pleased to see this. It's a dahlia I sowed from seed 3 years ago, and it's survived the winter and it's come back. Slugs were eating it big time back in May, even early June, but suddenly it grew. And one thing I've noticed with these dahlias is the ladybirds. I saw one just now, I don't know if I can see it again. We've seen a lot of ladybirds this spring, and that's at least one insect that has been good, but it just isn't that same number. You know, the butterflies, we'd normally be seeing white butterflies over the brassicas 10th of July, definitely, and they're not here. Here's two nice examples more of succession. So succession means where you're just getting seed and plants in the ground as soon as you can after finishing. So this was cabbage and cauliflower, and as soon as the last cabbage were cut, we planted direct French beans, dwarf French beans there, different varieties, that's why they look slightly different. And 2 afternoons ago, that had been peas for pods, and they had just finished. So again, cut them off at the base, not using a mower in this case. And I sowed carrots. And why has it got a net on? Well, it so happened while I was sowing the carrots, I'd made the drill, and I was sowing them with Maria, who's helping, and she said, "Oh look, there's the cat, she wants to get involved," and she was dropping a poo right in one of the carrot drills. So I picked that up. I put it on the compost heap. Actually, if you've got hot compost, it's no problem. Then this bird net at least will stop that. Potentially other birds or anything, maybe rabbits, I'll keep it on for a little while. And that's peas for seed again. So leaving the peas on the plants to dry until they're ready. And we're going to finish here with a little look at 1 or 2 more things. Like I wanted to mention the dill, because that's such a nice summer herb to have, and it takes a while to get going. That was sown about 6 weeks ago, but it is a dwarf variety. I'm trying to remember its name. Fernleaf. It's fernleaf dill, that's right. So that you can start picking from that now, and beautiful with cucumber. I've seen cucumber plants up here. But what's happened here in these 2 beds, this is dig no dig. So we've got the dig bed on the right as we look at it, and no dig on the left. They both have the same compost. Harvest this year so far have been 37 kilos, pretty impressive, considering the weather, from the dig bed. And the no dig bed, 44 kilos. So once again, a very strong showing from no dig. Same plantings put in at the same time, and you can see here the second planting. So this is all succession. This was celery here, just finished, and we actually planted the French beans right up close to the celery roots while they were still growing. Celery comes out, I cut them off at the base again, not disturb anything going on. Lettuce that went in again just before the celery finished. Purple cauliflower, this was carrots before. Yeah, I'm just having to think hard. Oh, potatoes actually, because it leaks after potatoes. So this area gave around 12 kilos on both beds actually of potatoes. That was Casablanca. The celeriac went in between lettuce, so we've been picking leaf lettuce, and that was about 8 kilos of leaf lettuce from 2 rows through the spring. And then the celeriac are good now. We twisted out the leeks. Kale went in between the onions. That's a nice one, because then you harvest the onions, the kale's suddenly there. You know, rather than waiting for it to finish, this is called interplanting. Chicory went in after fennel. Beetroot went in after beetroot. That's another kind of mini no rotation trial. It's worked for me before. Here we had cabbage, so that's cucumbers that went in a while ago, and they've taken a long time to grow, partly because they were very close to the peas, which again finished just a few days ago. So they come out and they got all their roots still in the ground. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's rapid. I've gone through it really fast. Do remember to come on a course here if you really want to find out in more detail and pick up the good energies here.